Welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone. This week I am Neptunia.
This week I am Shinra.
Is that nigga gonna continue this shit or not?
I think he...
Does he? Can he? If you saying a yes or no is gonna spoil it anyway, so it's gonna it's whatever.
So Fire Force, I think, is definitely over. Now Okubo has been... I guess if you look at his history, he's been consistently, with maybe like a 1-year break, working on a full-time serialized manga for at least the last like 12, 15 years. So, or maybe, yeah, it's probably longer than that, right? Because Soul Eater started back when I was still in fucking college. So he's been working. But I think that, his pattern is going to be like a lot of the others who are like, I'm done after whatever this big work is. He'll take some time off. A one shot will show up in, whatever magazine of choice. I know he's with Kodansha, so that could be the venue.
Yeah.
Then he'll disappear for a few more months, and then you'll see a note that like, oh, this, the one shot was picked up for full time, and then he'll be off to the races again. He's very young. He's in his early 40s, 41, 42. So I do not think that it is the end. He ain't going nowhere.
Do you think Jump will pick him up, or does he have a contract with...
That's a question, because he's in Weekly Shonen magazine, which I think is under Kodansha. It's like the Square Enix owned magazine.
Oh, okay.
So it's also a weekly. I think typically there's a lot of...
Well, I prefer to stay over there then, because Square Enix, whatever they produce, they usually put a decent amount of like production value into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that again, like he's affiliated with Kodansha. If they really wanted to push, I mean, this happens a lot. A lot of times, like, a big name will end whatever their long running series is, and then their previous publisher will, they give them some space, but then they start pestering them like, hey, you want to get back in? So it's very possible that he could come back in that magazine or under another, like maybe a monthly. There's also, I think Kodansha has like a couple of monthly magazines as well for like young adult, like whatever. I'm trying to remember what
if he did something geared towards young adults, that'd be interesting.
It's the what the heck was the name of that one? Oh, I'm not forgetting the name. The one with like the samurai guy that was taken to the other world. Drifters, right? The magazine that publishes Drifters, I think, is also the Kodansha Monthly.
You had me thinking of the fucking like Kishimoto's Samurai 7 shit. I was like, no way. Yeah. Oh no, like I thought that was Kishimoto. Didn't that shit get canceled already?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, that got canceled a while ago. That got canceled like last year or maybe the year before. It didn't do. The funny thing is that it looked great. It looked fucking fantastic. But I was gonna
wait for it to have like a good like several years underneath it and then like hop in, but
what I will say about what was it called? There was something Samurai or
Samurai 7 or something.
Was it well, there is Samurai 7. I think Samurai 7 is the one that's like it's a remake of the Kurosawa one, but it's like in the future.
Okay.
It has a similar. Don't quote me on any of this.
Yeah. Here, let me see if I can find it while you talk about it.
Yeah, but it I remember reading the first 3 chapters and feeling like there are some really interesting ideas here.
Samurai
but there's parts
8.
of it. Samurai 8. There we go. That there's some good ideas in there, but like it didn't feel like it had found something unique and interesting unto itself. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of manga that need work on their concept, but when you look at it, you're like, okay, this is the thing that's going to be super appealing about this from Jump. The artwork in Samurai 8 was really cool, and I think it was because of how detailed and cyberpunk it really was from the beginning. Really cool looking stuff. And they had the idea of making the mentor figure this like samurai cat, which I thought was really cool. And it was like could bounce between like cute and very like realistically drawn stuff, but I think it was the lack of very good, well-designed enemies, because in a series, it's going to be all about like your main character versus crazy samurai of all kinds. None of the designs really stuck out to me as like, oh, this is going to be iconic, and it's hard to make something that's iconic like right out the gate. Like that's not an easy thing to be doing.
Yeah.
So I could see why it didn't hit, and by the time like they tried to, they have the main character, then his friend, and weirdly, having watched Orient or read a little bit of Orient, it's almost the exact same formula as Orient.
Oh.
In some ways, which I thought, now that I think about it, is kind of why I probably wasn't into Orient either. So let's hit the weekly stuff first.
All right. Well, I'll go quick with Vanitas. I'm over it. Let's move on. Well, not us. Let's move on from this. But like, they're taking too long. No more flashbacks. No, actually, no more of this arc. How about that? Like, let's go. Is Chloe gonna live or die? Astolfo's backstory, loved it. Would have preferred it earlier in the season. Like, the Astolfo no way fight. And I actually had someone hop in my comments on the React video that I did for it. And they were like, yeah, they're skipping like a shit ton of shit this season. And I'm like, oh, well, that probably would be more entertaining than what they're doing. Because all we're doing is getting flashbacks. And Jean had her like redemption moment. Or not redemption, but like moment of clarity. With like Vanitas's, or like the figment of Vanitas that's in her head.
That was like the beginning of the episode, and then she like disappeared until she jumped into frame to go at Chloe or whatever was happening. Those dogs.
The whole thing with Chloe. Up. Then you get Chloe. You get Jean-Jacques pulling Chloe out of the like mode or whatever without Vanitas's book, and then you got Vanitas got the like apparently there's something embedded in his hand. It's not a scar. I'm guessing that stone is embedded in it. Like, that is the shit that I'm interested in. I'm interested in, like, the blue vampire, how this shit's stacking up with the queen, and, like, all the varying pieces coming together. I don't give a fuck about these backgrounds no more. Astolfo, no.
This series, in the way it's being adapted, because I fully believe they're skipping a lot of stuff. I even think that they're doing some things out of order because a lot of it doesn't even fit in sequence. This is where a good director comes in and establishes some order. So I've made a lot of comparisons to D. Greyman, but the thing about D. Greyman is all of the characters are tragic heroes, okay? So they all have a lot of pain. Most of the backstories of everybody involved are all terrible, whether they're the good guys or the bad guys, you know, because by definition in that series, in order to become a demon, you had to like sacrifice a lot. Usually it's like, you know, people around you get killed, whatever else. Yeah. So that means like all of the main Noahs and the demons and everything else,
shit.
Yeah, you can always have a backstory that tells the audience, okay, this is how these folks got to where they're at, and then that makes you feel a little bit of, you know, either tragic irony or tragic pathos when the heroes have to destroy them or whatever happens.
It makes it like gray. It doesn't make it like super black and white.
Right. So that series has a lot of the same sort of aesthetics and beats as what they try to do at some parts of Vanitas, but I think that because D. Greyman at its core, when it gets to the shonen part of the formula, follows a very specific act structure around separating each of its heroes, giving them feats and fights, wrapping up their confrontations, and then building up to a primary antagonist that is going to be dealt with either by the group of them together or by usually it's a group together, or by one hero individually. That person's story ends a chapter, and then they move on to whatever the next arc of the adventure is. But it still has a lot of the same melancholy and a lot of the same, like, you know, pining, you know, unrequited relationships and everything else that, like, Vanitas is doing, which is such a staple of, like, vampire stories, right? Because vampires are tragic, you know, villains and heroes. The problem is that it's just so disjointed right now. Like, I'll give you a key example of something that bothered me, and this is just, like, a structure, really basic structure problem. We find out in the last episode that Chloe has been trying to trap and destroy Nenia, or what is it? Is it Nenia?
Nania or Nania.
Yeah. That's her plan all along, is that the people of Javoden have been sort of trapped in this time loop, and she wants to destroy Nenia and kill herself in the process in order to take some kind of not revenge is not even what she wants to do. She wants to die for her family because she feels like whatever happened to her was the reason why her family line is no longer existent, right? We find all that out last episode, and there's a line when when Vanitas is talking to whatever that blonde hair guy is, I don't know why I always forget his name. Roland, and he says like, Chloe hasn't killed anybody yet, so you all need to go and stop her from actually killing any of the people, because if anybody dies, then she'll be completely irredeemable. Okay, so it's fine for that to set up the stakes. Here's the problem. If we believe that this is a sort of classic shonen hero story, then we've now just deflated 99% of the tension around the threat that is happening, right? Because we know they're going to get out of it. But if now it's like, oh, also nobody can die in the process, and we've sent all of our secondary characters to go
already.
Exactly. So then the only thing that's left, the only tension left, is whether or not Chloe is going to survive herself. Right? Because that's it. Because we know that it's game over if literally anybody else dies in the process. Jean-Jacques now no longer is a possibility to die, because we found out in this episode and the one before that like he's basically her motivation for doing all this, which doesn't really make a lot of sense if you play it out at all. I walked into this episode expecting that what we were going to focus on was just Chloe. We don't need any of these other things happening, because what's the point of showing a scene where, oh no, the secondary characters are getting overwhelmed by the dogs, who knows what's gonna happen? We know what the fuck is gonna happen. We know, so there's no point in showing me that scene. All the tension is gone, and then what's left is maybe some story reveals as to what is really happening. What is this engine doing? What is their way out of this trap that they're in? But they keep skipping, right? Because remember, Vanitas, they start the episode with like talking. Chloe is up there. Then they come up with a plan to use the engine. But then Vanitas makes it seem like, well, if I don't have my book, I can't fix it. But then he kind of fixes the problem without the book, activates the engine. Jean-Jacques just randomly walks up and grabs her. No one said that was something that you could do.
This shit's so out of left field now, where I'm just like, I don't think that it's an overall narrative problem. I think it's the way that it was presented to us. I agree.
We're missing all of these separate pieces that would tell would put the why to the what. Why is a character where they are, what, and doing what they are doing. I was trying to think of like a good analogy for balancing like mystery, so you have some surprise with like clear stakes. A good example is, we were talking about Fire Force. In the very beginning of Fire Force, I think it's maybe the second episode, when they're doing the testing, right? Arthur and Shinra go into the building, and they tell you ahead of time that the rules for the game are that they have to go rescue the people who are posing as they're other fire soldiers, but they're posing as victims in this home that is on, or this building that's on fire, right? And you know that there's going to be some complications in there, or the characters know that. So when they approach it, we the audience know the framework that the characters are using to understand what sorts of challenges and threats are in front of them. It's non-lethal. They're trying to, outdo each other. All that stuff is there. As soon as they get in, we are shown in a flash or in like a side, image of things that are also happening. That nope, there's bad guys who've infiltrated, and now this thing that seemed relatively benign and fun is going to turn into something extremely dangerous and over the heads of our heroes. And then the question that you resolve in the story is, how do the heroes get out of this predicament? Given all the rules, now they've got to save these people, they have to protect their own lives, they have danger in the unknown. What do they do? And then it resolves itself in the way that it resolves itself. But it's very structured, so that you know as the audience what to expect, but then you're also given a little room for there to be a surprise. Vanitas, this episode, and even the last episode, I had no idea what was going on, because there was never any order put to what was happening. Like, Astolfo shows up. Now let me ask you a question. When Astolfo,
that was out of order. They told
when Astolfo picked himself up, before he started going berserk, I I was trying to figure out if they were trying to tell us that he was now wounded from the fight with Noe, so he was out of it, and he was now gonna be forced to watch them undo this spell.
Yeah.
And then he takes the vial or whatever and jabs himself. He's the second one, and they cut to his, like, you know, the guy who's assisting him, like the servant, and he's freaked out. So am I supposed to assume that he took too much and something terrible is going to happen? Then he literally disappears. Like, he took it, but then we got like 5 whole minutes of them like, go get my book. I'm going to go do this thing. Jean-Jacques, and I had forgotten that Astolfo was even in the room. He was in the room the whole time.
Slices the shit out of Jean-Jacques.
Exactly, he cuts him like, okay, so is Jean-Jacques dead? Does that mean that we're nope, that nigga's alive and well. He's able to drag his ass up. Nobody tried to help him or fix anything. The Noe fight happens. We actually get like a little bit of like fight animation. I felt like this probably should have been in the previous
That's episode. Where it was. It was in the previous episode, which makes me even more so confused because knowing that, because someone from a manga perspective told me that, I was like, wait, so was he double juiced up in the manga already? And like
remember he said he was like, Noe's like, oh, he's stronger than before. We didn't see him do anything before. We didn't know that. That doesn't mean anything to us.
Shit. He said that. Like, see, yes. This is. I don't want to rag on the series as a whole because it's not the series as a whole. It's this particular arc. It's falling apart. It's falling apart.
It is. I don't want to. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like there's also like the battle direction of the actual like action scenes. I think that, you know, oh man, there was this movie that came out like a year ago. It starred like Andrew Garfield, and I'm blanking on the name, but like the concept behind the movie was like, oh, Andrew Garfield plays like a Logan Paul type influencer who basically just is so tied into the future of a social media platform that like everything he does is now like super managed, and then he goes off script. But it's the first movie I ever watched where I saw a production error in the editing of the film, and I could not believe that it was. So there's a scene where Andrew Garfield is like in a hall, like an underground hallway, pretending to be in hiding, and he's reading a newspaper, covering up his face. He's got like a trench coat on. You see one shot of like the him in the hallway leading to outside, so you see like the light from outside, and then another female character walks up from a flight of stairs, turns and approaches him to talk. So if you're just listening to the dialogue, everything is fine. She's like, hey, what are you doing? He pulls the paper down, he makes a smirk at her, he puts the paper back up, she walks up to him, still talking to him, everything's cool. If you watch the film, you realize that they put the scene where she is like in his face talking to him. I'm talking about the video, like the video clip, not the audio, where she's up close, and then they cut to another shot where she's still walking to come see him. Like it just somewhere in the editing room floor. Somewhere in the editing room floor, they were clearly fooling around with the order of some of these scenes, and they just forgot to flip they left the audio track. The edited audio track in place, but the video parts got flipped of those 2 scenes. They were just flipped, and that was
like in theaters.
Yes, and you can watch it right now online if you wanted to. And damn. Seeing that, I was like,
somebody got fired.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was just a straight up video production error, like editing error in a major film with major people involved. And I felt that way about this episode. That there are scenes where I'm like, this order is wrong. And this, you know, like, I'm now losing track of what the fuck is going on. It's just a mess. Everything here is a mess. But the story underneath it is all fine. Everything is fine. I'm cool with all this stuff. Like, the things with Jean in the beginning, cool with that, right? Because now we really know, like, this girl's struggling, you know,
she was doomed.
she is fucking doomed. And even like the resolution that we're probably going to get with like, you know, redeeming Chloe, Jean-Jacques probably gonna live. I'm cool with all that stuff. Did you notice a little side piece where they recognized that those robots had weapons in them,
and that it's literally they're supposed to be her suicide devices?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember, I had hoped that maybe that's what we were gonna get, like, you know, the main heroes versus those robots, and then you get to the like the right before the final boss of Chloe, and then it's Jean-Jacques versus the team or versus whoever's there, and then it's like Vanitas and her, and then they would, you know, clash. He'd save her, and then it'd all be over. That's how I structured this story in my head.
And that would make sense.
Yeah, because that's a very classic, basic shonen style structure. The Tower of Doom. Right? At the top, you have the final boss. At all the levels below it, you've got their henchmen. You work your way up. All your little side characters have their moments. You know, the big dastardly plan, like, seems like it works, but then the hero figures out a way to undo it in the last moment, and then you move on. Like, they had set me up for that. And then right at the last minute, the snow globe they just smashed that shit on the ground, and they were like, fuck you, nigga. And I'm like, okay. All right. So. We should be done after next episode.
I mean, and then what? What y'all gonna do? Okay, whatever. Let me know.
I want to know about, like, the machine count and Ruthven. I'm pretty sure that, like, they're letting Chloe.
I'm interested in that machine count. I'm
pretty sure they're letting Chloe and Jean-Jacques go, which is gonna, you know, like, the Jean told mission there was to take them out, so that's gonna be a problem. I'm cool. Like, that's what I want to see. I was just hoping at some point Noe would taste somebody's blood, and then that would be the explanation for the backstory. But no, apparently that power only seems to matter when he's, like, doing an info dump in somebody's office. Yeah, or being used. So, here we are. I don't have anything else to say about this.
Yeah, I'm done with that one. Sabikui. I enjoyed this episode.
I love this episode.
I think that it kind of moved, like, crazily fast at some points, but I'm still okay with it. So my main thing, and this was something that I've been wanting in the back of my head, and I did not think they were going to do it. At least I didn't think they were going to do it this soon. But the fact that we have a Pawu and fucking Bisco, like, ship,
she turned his ass out.
It's fucking
She turned his ass out.
Turned that nigga blood red. Like, left you on brick, the bluest of balls, and dick.
Because he's still a kid. He's not, like, you know.
And he be talking, and you know what? Like, he was talking shit, but he was talking so much shit this episode where I was like, you deserve that. Like, because you're not ready. You're not ready.
No.
So we get that. We get, like, Milo's like moment. Like, he got
two.
So many moments.
He got two of those in the same episode.
Like, oh my god. And the snake, and even the fight, like, first of all, I just loved how they got straight to the shits with the fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we gonna do this Pawu thing and the thing is just gonna float in the background. No, it's trying to kill y'all, like, right now. Like, you don't have no time to rest. You're trying to get killed. And it was so fucking cool how they did that fake out where it was like, oh, Milo did it. Nah, nigga, like, you're still like, they're two heads. Like, it was. I like how it tied into the
scene where he was hunting the pig in the mud. It was exactly the same thing, right? Like, in that scene where he's hunting the pig, he's like, he's acting like he's down. The pig comes to investigate. He surprises him with a knife, and that's how they have something to eat. And then when he takes Bisco out, it's the same deal where he knows he's not going to win a fist fight. Mm-hmm. So, you know, he's playing coy, and then gets him with the injection to put him to sleep. I love this episode. You're right. Was like, we want to talk about pacing. In one show we talked about the pacing was just all over the place and the story was disjointed. In Bisco, the story is very straightforward, so there's not a lot of, like, ways to get lost in it. It's just how much do you put in between each moment in a given episode to make things last. So, like, in this one we had to do a lot. We basically had to have the resolution to the meetup between all three people again. We had to figure out this information about the Rust Eater mushroom. We had to separate the team again. We had to have Pawu get captured and kidnapped, and then have Milo leave Bisco, and also depower Bisco as well. So that's, like, a lot of stuff to do in an episode. So I would say that, like, of all of those, the thing that was the most abrupt to me was, like, the turnaround in the relationship between Pawu, Bisco, and Milo. Because, like, the fight with the worm kind of doubled as, oh, okay, these guys ain't ain't bad. I thought Pawu would be a little more
resistant
to it, or like you know. Which, but to give credit where credit's due, in the anime only edition that they made a couple episodes ago, or maybe it was last week. It's 2 episodes ago, where they added like her running into those people who, you know, broke her sort of dogmatic view of like what was going on in the world. I think that was the reason why they stuck that in there, so that there would at least be some evidence that she was questioning what the fuck was going on. And to be fair, also, even in the first episode, it was clear she didn't get along with the governor. Yeah, so like there wasn't like they were allied with each other. Like this was just about her and her chasing her brother, the guy who like took her brother anyway. So I thought that was worthwhile. Also, she seemed to, I don't remember what was her interaction with Jabi as she was awake. Was it all that much? They
never interacted, did they?
Well, she said she knew.
He held her off. He held those people off. They were all searching for him.
But so, she knew of Jabi. So I don't remember if they had an actual because remember she gets knocked out.
Them actually talking.
She gets knocked out, and then Bisco takes her underground where him, Jabi, and Milo are for them both to get healed. But I thought she was unconscious.
They leave her with Jabi.
So that's a part that we didn't get to see, but clearly she knew more about Jabi.
I think she knew more about Jabi, but maybe I think she only knew about him because he was actively like causing chaos in the city.
Fair, yeah. No, that's
she knew
definitely a possibility.
Of his presence because Bisco was gone, but that's what I'm assuming because I definitely don't remember them interacting on screen so far. But I also do agree with you with the part about like the anime original insert being important. I think that was what made the transition of her like going into the actually I kind of believe these niggas. Like I wasn't like that vehemently against this because it makes sense based off of my exposure with the outside world. So yeah, I thought that made sense, but it still was fast. Like I was like, damn, like y'all are kikiing. Like I thought that while they were trying to deliberate like what to do with the rust mushroom, that them niggas was just gonna be like go at each other's necks the entire time, while Milo is trying to like hurry up and do a solution and then be like, Pop, see, look, you're healed. This is what we were doing. So
yeah. So of all the things that they sort of, I won't say shortcut it a little bit, that is like the only one where I'm like, man, I just wanted to see more of the softening happen. Like let it marinate. I think
that this might end like in this season. Like I think they might do I think that they might end up doing like an original like anime ending, and I'm honestly okay with that because the way that it's going right now, I'm like, okay, like you could make it all self-contained in this city, even though I'm pretty sure there's way more to do in like that apocalyptic Japan, because they mentioned all the other cities with those governors, the evil mushroom keepers, and the other shit that like the cause, the giants and shit like that. It's like there's plenty of more other material to cover, but I think like if they focus directly on just like, you know, curing the rust or finding a cure for the rust, and then maybe like, you know, they could leave it open to be like, oh, we can find a way to mass produce it and like hint at another season or like move on to another season.
Yeah, or if, you know, this is the thing, right? So when I look at story, I like to think about like what is the capacity for the story to sustain lots and lots of interesting events and things and character developments. The story of Sabakui Bisco should primarily be about the characters, right? It should it's in we know that we set a goal of like solving the rust, right? Like that seems to be like an existential thing for the world, and it's the equivalent of like, I'm gonna be the pirate king for like, you know, your typical modern shonen. It's like, we gotta fix the rust, and if the rust went away, my question is there enough here with the characters and the rest of the world that I would still have, there would still be things for people to do that I would be interested in actually seeing? And generally I would say the answer is yes, because Bisco is a really cool character, and there's a lot about the mushroom keepers and everything else that I think is worth like exploring, right? So like that's cool. Then you have what we don't know about the world, all the things with the Tetsujin, like is the rust the end of that part, or is there more to it? So there could, if they wanted
variants of the rust.
And my understanding is like this is actually a pretty ongoing story, right? I don't know if it's either a light novel
it's still going. I think it's still a light novel, but I just said that based off of this episode with how they like resolved so much shit back to back, where I'm like, I could see this having like a conclusion or like an anime only conclusion. But
yeah, and I would be perfectly fine with that. I would be perfectly fine with that because I think that, you know, if you have a story that still has legs to carry something, you can choose to, you know, make an end where you need to make the end. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, the history of they've only done like 2 TV only bits from what people have said to me, and I liked both of those things, and I didn't even notice them as feeling out of place in the broader story that was being told. So if there's an anime only ending, I'm cool with that because they probably do a good job. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm trying to think with the standout stuff. I hated the fucking worm. I'm good on that motherfucking worm if I never see it again in my life.
Yo, it was perfectly creepy. It was perfect.
And the way they killed it fucking was horrific too.
I mean, but it was so cool. I loved that fight. I loved it.
It was a good fight. Yeah,
I loved that fight. It was great. I mean, they showed off.
Oh right, we forgot about Akutagawa and his claw. He lost his claw. It'll come back because crabs get their claws back.
Yeah, I was like, are they? Because he called them like small claws, so I thought we were gonna see like a mini claw growing, but we didn't see that.
Well, Bisco talking that shit. He was like, "Yo, Akutagawa got shut down by another crab for having a small ass claw." I'm like, man.
But also, it shows how much he trusts Milo because he was like, "Do you trust me? I'm about to like chop this fucking claw off, bitch."
Yeah, it's true.
Pop.
That is true. That air moment where like the camera zooms in on his eyes. He's like, Bisco would say never give up. I'm like, there you go, Milo, that's my man. And then he still got yapped. Yes.
That was what made that so fucking good. Where it's like, damn, that moment was short lived as fuck.
It was fine though. Like I was still fine with. I'm
excited to see what's gonna happen with the governor, and then also we have Jellyfish. Shown back up. So I'm
the voice actor for the governor is having the most fun of any single person.
Isn't he?
He is having the most fun.
He's done so much other shit. I just can't remember any of his other characters' names now, nor his actual name.
He is just hamming it up. Like when he's like, testing. Like anytime you get a character who's like that, I'm ready. I'm already in the universe. Like I get it. It's cool. Isn't he like sci-fi movies or something like that? Like there's all these little quirky aspects of the characters of the show that are just there for fun, and I'm there for fun, and I don't even want to know like what's up with Jobby and them, because whatever Milo saw on TV had him fucking tweaking out. Like,
yeah, I just thought that they had shown them captured, but knowing him, it's probably some like torture or some shit. Who knows? I hope it's nothing crazy with Pawu. Jobby, I've been expecting that nigga to die. So
yeah, I hope they just keep it simple and just put them do the biblical reference, put them all on crosses or something. Like don't show me something terrible, because you know that this show has like a lot of low-key body horror and like animal
with the
hybrid
fucking parasite
shit.
Like
I'm cool with all that. Let's not.
Honestly, I thought Homeboy shot him with like a parasite bullet at first, but I was like, oh, it's a rust bullet. Oh, okay. I thought like shit was gonna start crawling out that motherfucker's like abs. I'm good,
because that's what we'd be doing to everybody else. Like you got to realize, so far they have kept it very tame as far as like him shooting mushrooms like into physical objects or into creatures, like not people. Could you imagine getting shot with one of those mushrooms? Because he coughed up mushrooms the other time when he was fucking around with that those glowy ones. Like if you could kill somebody by making them explode from the inside with like mushrooms coming out of their body, like that's probably a phobia that I didn't know that I had, that I would develop as a result of seeing that shit.
Yeah, I agree. All right. What else did you watch?
I watched Dress Up Darling. It was good.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
It's good. Mm-hmm. We're getting the cast together, and this was like there was some stuff. Well, there's always some stuff in every episode, but it was fine. I watched, what else did I watch? I watched Genius Prince.
How's that going,
bro? Nigga just dying, getting executed. So there's a thing. This is not a complaint. This is I want to give credit where credit is due. You don't have to do a lot with your villains if they're not important. If a villain is just a means to get to a certain point in a story, you don't have to do a lot with them. However, if you're gonna make them do the whole kick the puppy moment, if every one of your villains is just a filthy degenerate at heart, and that is the excuse that the story of the show are using to justify doing whatever the fuck they want to these people to punish them for the audience's sake so that we get something out of it. Somehow the show walks a line of putting just enough detail behind these horrible people that I don't mind when they are in some ways comically executed. Because there's other shows where I don't know how to describe this, but maybe you can put some words behind it that I'm missing. But you ever watch a show and you know who the mooks are? They're like the guys who are drawn in the background. They don't even get a whole face. They'll have the visor covering the mouth, and they're just there to be fodder. So when the heroes come and smash them or destroy them or kill them, you don't feel anything because they're not people. They're deliberately not described as people. Whereas, what if you had the same scene, but, those, nameless soldiers, when the hero, cut them, they drop to their knees, start begging for their lives, they beg for their to see their mothers again, they don't want to die, they're crawling, the blood it's, really overwhelming to you. The reason they don't do that is so that you don't think about it. You don't spare them a second thought. In Genius Prince, every single bad guy at some point just reveals that they are either a horrible racist, a horrible sexist, a moron, a murderer, some person who's just completely irredeemable. And I should get tired of watching people like this get just absolutely ruined. Yeah. But I don't. There was a scene in this episode where, without spoiling too much about what's going on, a meeting is set up where you kind of know that the outcome is that the main characters are going to slaughter everybody in the meeting. You know that's going to happen, even though it's only a possibility. But in the midst of the meeting, the big bad of this little mini story completely derails the main character's thoughts is oh, this person is antagonizing me so that because we took the gold mine and now they're in debt and now
they're still going over this gold mine shit.
That's the thing, the gold mine actually plays into other parts of the story. But this was Wayne's prediction. His prediction was okay, I've been invited out here because of the consequences of me getting to this gold mine before this other country got to it and invaded the country that was attacking me. That's what he thought. So he had built his whole planning around rejecting the ask of this individual, which would then lead to that country attacking him, and then he had all these plans. In the midst of that conversation, as he's okay, now's the time when he's gonna ask me to return the gold mine, and instead the guy is so those flams that you all fucking grow out in your country, he was the what that we do what with? He's yeah, would you give me some of them so I can hunt them for sport?
What?
And this motherfucker, his eyes glaze over, Wade's eyes what the fuck did you just say? Because there was the most evil thing that you could just casually throw into a conversation. This would be on the plantation with Mr. Candy, he's why don't you bring one of them Negroes out here so that we can hunt them in the woods? Hunt them for sport. And we already know from the previous episodes that the one thing that triggers him to instant execution mode is racism towards the people of his girl. That's the one thing. And in a way, I kind of felt it. It was if a white person said the N-word to me. It's oh, I got carte blanche to do whatever I want right now. Whatever I want, it's on the table now because this is my trigger. This motherfucker said, not only do I want your country to turn over these ethnic minorities that you all breed to me so that I can go hunt them for fun. He said, you have a particularly juicy one with you right now. Why don't you share it with me? I was well, there goes all the plans. There goes everything else. The first thing, his My man changed it up. He was like, "Oh, okay, all right." Well.
Oh, he didn't just kill him immediately?
He did the whole lost all emotion. He was like, "So do you want me to decide now or later?" And the other guy's like, "I don't know what you're talking about, but now, right now." He's like, "Okay," and then immediately stabbed him in the heart, like killed him. This is before where they had a whole meeting with this other woman. Like, I'm gonna take you to this meeting. You have to promise me you're not gonna kill these motherfuckers. And
she promised. God!
And then he was the one who fucking killed them. And the funniest part was that so he attacks the king, kills the king. Beats up a bunch of other dudes. A guard opens the door. This scene is like 3 seconds long. He opens the door and then a knife flies into range, hits him in the middle of the head, and he just drops out of frame. And that's it. I'm like, they have the person's face. They didn't do like the mook thing where it's like, oh, it's covered in a visor. He's just dead. They had a man walk in and get a knife in the face and die, just casually out of nowhere. 5 minutes ago, you could have told me that was what was gonna happen. Fucking crazy.
Wow.
Mans went full execution mode.
I love it though. Oh, wow. It's so nice hearing about how good this show is. Like, I'm excited to watch it just to get to these fucking scenes. Oh, wow.
But there was no reason for him to be that evil. Because he was, right before that, he was talking about how he executed his wife because the daughter that they had, he figured that daughter can't be mine because she sucks at math.
Okay.
So I watched that. That was good. It's pretty much it.
Yeah, I watched Realist Hero for this past week. That was great. I'll go back over that, and once the 3 episodes are out or whatever. But honestly, just it's so good. It's so pleasing. It's just so pleasing. I fucking love it. I just, a fucking mecha dragon just out of nowhere. I just fucking love it.
Why not?
I just fucking love it.
But then they can't use it, right?
You can't use it. Well, they didn't think they could use it. But, just perfect setup for your powers. Just like, oh, okay, see, now I'm going to move on because then we're going to end up talking about the whole damn episode.
True.
What else did I watch? I think that was it. I watched Sasaki Tomiyano. I'm going to repeat the same thing I said last week. This isn't really a beginner-friendly BL show. It's just not. It's moving way too slow, even for my tastes. So, maybe watch something else that's with a better pacing, like Love Stage, Junjo Romantica. Those are a little bit more on the smuttier side, but at least, the plot will be moving. This is literally like a slow burn romance. It's slow. So... yeah, that happens with that one. I'm watching. I am absolutely, at this point, I am positive that this is going to be one of the best Pretty Cure seasons, Sakuga-wise.
Oh, really?
In the years. Because in every single episode so far, she's been fighting. Like, she's been whooping this past episode, she got her ass whooped and then got into whooping ass. And, I like how the main character, or the main supporting cast, which is the gay guy, he's literally like, I have all this fighting experience, I just don't have the super power up thing, so I'm going to help you fight. She literally was fighting a pot, which character design is what it is, but eventually the pot got smart enough and just put her inside of it, and it started twisting itself, so she was getting dizzy. And she just literally hulked that shit and punched the bottom of the pot to the point where it ricocheted into the ground. And I was like, oh, that's what we're doing this season. Okay, great. Because in other seasons, the girls would have been like, I'm going to wave my wand and I'm going to get out of here. She was like, I'm going to punch this shit. I'm going to punch it.
Why do all these shows basically come down to physical violence? I never would have thought before learning about the whole genre that people just getting their blocks knocked off. Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. I'm like, I like seeing this because it's not very common in other shonen unless the girl got big ass big old titties. So
true.
I enjoy watching this teenage girl basically be like, I'm about to beast this shit, and then I'm about to look cute while doing that. I was like, it's great. I think it's the dissonance based off of what people usually expect and what you get. That's one of the main reasons why I like watching it so much, because I'm just yes, if you showed it to someone randomly, they'd be like, yo, what the fuck? What she just do? So yeah, still watching that. Did I watch anything new? No, I didn't watch anything new. No. So, news-wise, We have tween Goten and Trunks.
I'm with it.
I like that. I like that. I actually want the movie to be about them now. I don't care, Gohan. I don't care. It is what it is. That's just my personal opinion. I don't give a fuck about Mystic, whatever it is. I don't care. Show me a like grown up Gotenks. Like I want to see that. Like I want to see it ASAP.
This is what I'm about to say. Shouldn't be a controversial opinion. I hope it isn't. I truly do. It has been 30 years since Dragon Ball Z was animated. That's more than 30 years, right? No, about 30. 30, maybe 28 years since DBZ was animated. I will stand by this statement. The coolest thing that has ever come out of that series, ever, in the history of that series, is Future Trunks.
Oh.
The coolest thing, okay? At every level. I'm not saying he's a great character. I'm not saying that like he's well written. I'm not saying even that he's the best thing about DBZ. I'm just saying that on pure cool factor, it's Future Trunks and it's not close. Yeah. Anybody who has seen Future Trunks from any of the OVAs where he's got like the fucking long purple hair.
Yes.
And he's fucking jacked and he's got like the fucking tank top and whatever else.
Yeah.
That is the single coolest design to ever come out of that show. And the fact that in the 30 years since,
it's never shown back up.
They've never shown back up. And when he did, it was like the whack, like weird Red Ribbon Army version of him, which is like sort of based on his GT design, but also like sort of based on like some other illustrations, like never came close. None of the Super Saiyan transformations that they came up with after that it came anywhere near Future Trunks hitting Super Saiyan 1 and one-shotting Frieza remains the most iconic moment of that entire series. So we need to get that back. So yes, give us tween, Goten and Trunks.
I want the ponytail. Give me that ponytail.
Yeah.
Give me I'm with ponytail.
I'm with it.
Keep the sword.
But my question is very simple. It's like, how do you not want to go back to being cool?
Because them niggas are literally like Goku. The fuck?
Even Goku, like all these transformations, I have never seen an idea pushed so hard with fucking Ultra Instinct. They did everything to get Ultra Instinct over as like the coolest thing. They gave him the surfing, the Kamehameha wave moment. They did all that shit with Jiren, multiple reawakenings, everything to just get over. But it's not cooler than Base 4 Future Trunks. It's not. It's not. It's not.
It's the same nigga. It's the same nigga. It's just the same nigga.
It's not. I get it. Like GBZ is for the family. Yeah, it's for the kids. Whatever. Look at the cool shit you did.
It ain't for the family. They're fucking horrible ass father.
No, but yes. If we think about it, but I'm just saying, like the series is like it's iconic for the country. So when something becomes like a national emblem, like it's for everybody. I'm not saying you can't have kiddie shit, but like look at these designs. Like as an artist doing anything, I don't care what your medium is, don't you want to make, when people see it, don't you want people to make the fucking stink face? You know what I'm talking about, the artist stink face where you're like, oh, like when you see some shit.
I'm surprised that we don't have spin-offs from the main like series on a regular basis. I don't see why that's not more of a regular thing. That could be excess amounts of money.
I mean, that's all the games, right? That's all like there is one spin-off. There's like that whatever their
the one that's based off the Gacha game.
Yeah.
I mean, the scenes from that look good, but also
some of them are right.
There's no continuity with that basically for like anything. It's literally just like shit's just wild and niggas are fighting, which is great. But also, like, doesn't really tie in. Like, if they were to do, like, a prequel, like, Future Trunks kind of, like, thing. Or even just, like, Goten, like, the training of Goten. Or some shit like that. Like, I would watch that. Because it's, like, ain't no Goku nowhere.
It's just, you know what, like, and I'm not criticizing.
If they did a slice of life of Vegeta just getting old and like being a dad, I'd fucking love it. I would watch that. I would watch him bitching about going around with his daughter and then doing it at a drop of a dime every single, like, I would watch something like that. Like, why aren't y'all diversifying?
Well, like, Toriyama is a goof, and he's he's an elderly man at this point. And I think if I were him, what I would be thinking about is sort of like, what's the legacy of, my work? And to the extent that he participates in Dragon Ball related things, because he still does designs for like the movies and for some of the games, like he is involved. And I don't have a problem with anything that he is making or doing right now. I don't think it's ruining Dragon Ball. No, it's all cool. No. Everything about it is fine. What I'm saying is, like, if you went to Toriyama when he was 35 years old, that guy wanted to do the coolest fucking shit that he could possibly get away with. He was looking at classic wuxia movies and like coming up with, all the fun stuff that makes Dragon Ball. And over time, his interest shifted. But what was he making before Dragon Ball? It's fucking Dr. Slump. It was this goofy, fun stuff for kids. Like, it had humor, and it was, sometimes things were a little more adult than you would think, but like, that's where his heart is at. So I'm cool. Let him keep doing that. If you want to design weird aliens to show up in the show, or you've got like an idea for like, some side stories or other things, that's fine. But get the hungry niggas. Get them. Get the ones who are like, when they were 15, or not 15, when they were like 10 years old, they wanted to know what Super Saiyan 9 looked like. Like,
No, the fan arts. Like,
no, I'm not saying the fan artists, but the people who, like, that's what they thought was the coolest thing ever. Okay? And just find someone who's as hungry and creative as Toriyama was at 35, and then put that motherfucker in charge of everything. But that's the thing, that they're doing going forward.
It's like that sense of like seeing niggas fan arts of like Super Saiyan 7 and like 13 and shit. And then going back and watching,
it's fucking terrible. It's the worst.
They look so crazy, but it was in the mindset where I was like, I can't wait till the series gets to that shit where niggas are just like it's like Super Saiyan, because I feel like Super Saiyan 5, Super Saiyan 6, it was getting like over time, like those were getting better and better. Where I was like, I could see this. I can't wait. They're gonna put something like this in the show, and we never got anything like it. Nothing, and it was just like so. All of that, it just went with the wind.
I want to get my balls blown off. I want to like see some shit and just be like plastered to the back of my chair. Like, this is the hypest thing.
I'm not gonna lie. The Kamehameha surfing.
It was ill. No, I'm not saying it sucked at all. It was great, but I'm saying they had to do all of that in order to make like the otherwise, I won't say lame, because lame is too strong a word, but to make the relatively uninspired next transformation have something hype associated with it. But I didn't need Trunks to do anything when he showed up. He was just cool. The moment, just bleeding cool. And that's what this series is, I feel like, has been missing. Everything else is fine.
Take some lessons from Mr. Kubo.
Yeah.
Mr. Kubo. The fact that
Kubo, perfect example.
When whatchamacallit, what's his name from Burn the Witch?
Oh, the one with the graffiti powers?
With the graffiti fucking magic? Are you kidding me? I don't even care how strong he is. I want to see more. See more.
Sign me the fuck up.
I want to see more. And the fact that he's part of that council, that means that everyone on that council got some fire-ass fucking shit. Every single one of them. That's what we need in Dragon Ball.
And now that you bring it up, the whole reason why Trunks was a badass is because for when he was designed, I think in the 80s, that motherfucker was the most dripped out character in the series.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He was that's what, you know what I'm saying? Like, he even when he was like in training gear, that my man was dripping. Okay? Kubo, everybody had drip. Everybody. Yeah. And then you see Burn the Witch, he still got it. Yeah. If he's motivated, he still got it. So I just want to see that. That's all I'm saying. I love Goten. I love Trunks. I like that they're aging up the characters.
Bang Knife. That's his name. Bang Knife.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh. That shit was too sick. So give me that. I want to feel that feeling I'm chasing that feeling. You know what? I'm not a spiritual person, but when I get that feeling, that the dopamine hits in my brain and I see my version of God, the few and far between the times when it happens, like that's what I'm here for. So I'm into this, into anime for, so into movies for, so into games for, just those moments where you're like, oh, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. God damn it. Like, I want
That's
that
why
feeling.
I'm here. I want to see some cool shit. I want to see some cool shit. I want to see some cool shit get into action. I want to see like actionable moments. I want like whatever. I mean, I'm here for like all the other genres. Like clearly I am, but like for this, like you don't show me, don't show us Goten and Trunks doing that pose and then have a fucking Gotenks be in the movie for 3 minutes.
Bro,
don't do
exactly.
That shit.
And that's another example. We've never seen what teen Gotenks would look like. So there's an opportunity to take very obvious steps forward, right? With a character design that we're familiar with and make it cool. Because people are going to want to see it in this film. You cannot show us them doing the pose and then, leave us out in the cold on that particular thing. So that's all I'm saying. We deserve to get some clarity, and we deserve to see something cool. So show us some cool shit. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. Just show us some cool shit.
I agree. Also, Classroom of the Elite is getting a sequel. I'm shocked.
Of all things.
Of all things, I'm shocked because I know a lot of people did not enjoy that season. Especially
really?
Like
I only watched the first half of it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I was like, this is interesting. I enjoyed it for what it was at the time, because when it came out, I think it was one of those seasons where I was like, I don't know if there's really anything here that I'm like really heavily fucking with, so I'm just gonna watch all of it and just see. And I got to the end of that one and I was like, okay, like I enjoyed it. I'm not necessarily gonna be like, oh my god, you gotta watch it. I'm just gonna be like, if you're looking for something to watch, just watch it. Like, You know what killed me? Why I didn't go for it? Because that whole like the island arc, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't care.
I don't blame you.
I was like, whatever.
By the end
I liked
of the
everything else that was happening.
I loved what happened with like the over the turn of the island arc and like how shit played out. I liked that stuff, and I like how they set everything up. Everything is explained for the most part, but I guess like it's so much more detailed than what the anime gave us. And also people don't know if this is going to be a remake of the first season or if it's going to be a direct sequel. So, I think it is a sequel.
I think it's a sequel.
No, it is a sequel. I think people are saying, light novels readers are saying they want it to be a remake of the first season. And to them, I just like, anybody got that kind of money. Like, it's not Full Metal Alchemist. Like, that I can guarantee you that series is not making the kind of money, nor does it have the following to warrant a remake. Now, Soul Eater, that's another story. I would like that.
Love me some Soul Eater. Yeah,
I would like that with the Soul Eater Brotherhood. I would like that.
That would be very interesting, because it's the last arc or arc and a half, because I think they cut it off like halfway through the second to last arc in the story.
Oh, really? So it was that close to the end?
Yeah, but it was long. It was long. So you have to think that like where they chopped it was kind of so the invasion of the Arachne's fortress. Yeah. And then into the fight with the Kishin, the reborn Kishin or half reborn or whatever it was. And then they cut it off kind of like halfway in the middle of that part. And then that leads into the final arc, which, spoilers, guys, the thing's been done for like a decade. They go to the fucking moon and have a big-ass battle on the moon. It's fucking crazy, okay? But in that both of those, like, stories to get there are actually pretty long. And where they decide to end is just super fucking awkward. That's all. So I don't know what they would do. I don't know if they would just pick it up immediately from that starting point of like halfway through the second to last arc. Would they kind of revisit the Arachne's Fortress, which to me is actually one of the coolest. It has my probably the second favorite fight in the series, which is Black Star versus what's his name, Mitsurugi or Mitsu something, the other samurai. Like, I fucking love that fight. Their last one. Oh man, do I love that fight. It's the shit. Black Star is my favorite character in that series. I love that.
I enjoyed all the motherfuckers.
I mean, they're great. It's fucking great. But Black Star is like, I rock with Black Star. But anyway, yeah, that's probably where they would pick it up if they did give it the Brotherhood treatment. Because I don't know if they're gonna remake the whole thing. It was such a unique series. It looked fantastic too.
I did, yeah. It was just that was one of the ones I was watching like in my dorm room and shit. I was just like, I love this. Oh my god, like what the fuck? I didn't even know that there was a manga of it out there for like the longest time. What else is there? I think they're making the new Tokyo Mew Mew girls into an idol group.
What?
I'm not surprised. I don't know. They have the voice actresses like dressed up in like outfits. And we're gonna see. Like, we're gonna see. I'm not surprised because that is very common nowadays. You know, you got to be able to sing and voice act to go along with it because the music will bring the money, hands down.
I saw the little clip, the trailer for it, and I was trying to like wrap my brain because I've never paid any attention to the series. So I knew it was a magical girl series, and that was it. And then I watched the trailer, like, oh, this is what it's about. I see.
I mean, it got a little bit, they stopped airing it in America, clearly, because just 4Kids, I don't know what the fuck they were up to. But, I mean, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see what's going on. It was one of the first, like, magical girl experiences that I had, so.
Is it older? See. Is this like a, I mean, has it not been around or consistent lately, or no?
I think the manga and shit is over.
Okay.
I think it's just they wanted to like redo it because it had a 52 episode run, so it only had like that one thing. So honestly, I wouldn't be mad if more things did that kind of stuff where it's kind of just like 52 episodes may have been way too fucking much, or like 52 episodes may not have been like it may not have been communicated in the way they want to, or it's probably like a lot of that shit's anime only with filler. I am A-okay with them going back and doing shows over where it's like we're just gonna do this like 2 arcs here, 3 arcs there, blah, blah, blah. You get it when it comes to you. Like, that's completely acceptable. Now, I just don't want everyone to do it all at once, like how America is doing, where it's literally like, we're just going to take everything and reboot it because we don't have any original ideas. Like, not that. And then, I guess, like, my final thing, which also is, like, a little bit of, like, a tangent for me, which is, like, really, really quick, is that, like, Atlas, they revealed Soul Hackers 2, which is like, Shin Megami Tensei-esque, deals with the demons, et cetera, et cetera. And right. I've seen a lot of like talk coming out lately about Atlas's like decisions as far as like moving into a more like anime-centric art style or like aesthetic. And I just want to know, what the fuck y'all been? Like, are y'all all like children? Like, ever since Persona, like original, like Shin Megami Tensei, like this shit's been anime. It's been anime as fuck. It's just that this aesthetic of anime is just much more vibrant. And maybe it's like the lime green neon aesthetic where you're like, it's too much. Like, oh my God, calm down. But like skimpily clad, like big titty women, like it's gonna get people to spend the money. Like it's just gonna get them. Also, I saw some people complaining that like, they're running Persona 5 DLC into the ground. Honestly, from a business point, it doesn't make sense for them to not include Persona 5 as DLC with every other fucking game, because guess what? People are buying it. They would stop doing it if it would stop making them money. Right. So
there's no end.
like it's not gonna go anywhere until Persona 6 comes out. And then it'll be with that. But also, I think it's just a testament to the company where it's just like they have stuck to this particular style because it works for them. If you don't like the aesthetic, but you like the gameplay, then guess what? You can either make your own game or you can stick around. It's one or the other. But yeah, I just don't think it really deserves that kind of criticism because the company has literally been doing this. Like, Persona 3 has animated movies doing its entire storyline. Y'all, this is what they do. I feel like the people who listen to this podcast don't know that, but the random masses who just want to be mad for no reason. Like, relax.
Agreed.
Relax.
Agreed.
All right.
What do you know about the Fate Go Solomon? That's on Crunchyroll.
So you should attempt to watch. You should watch Camelot. There's 2 movies. I think those 2 movies are available, and then you should definitely watch Babylon, the series.
I did see most of Babylon.
Yeah, I haven't seen the last, I think, 2 episodes of Babylon. I think there was I don't know if there was a delay or if like the final episodes were like really long.
Something happened because I remember I was into it and then I just stopped watching for a reason. But it wasn't because I had an issue
Camelot,
with it.
I think, comes before Babylon, and then Babylon is the final one that leads into Solomon.
Is this the end, or is there no end?
There's no end to it. This is the end of the first arc of Grand Order.
What?
Yeah, Grand Order.
I thought we were getting to the end of the series.
No, this is the end of the first arc. And then it goes into the Cosmos and the Lost Belt. I don't know what the fuck that is. All I know is that it's making them shit tons of money. So
that's probably all we need to know.
Yeah, that means it's not stopping. But I will say that the series, after they bitched them out and like made them basically like put effort into it, all I've heard are really good things from every single story arc from the gacha game. So in the end, I think this is one of those like gacha experiences where it is an equivalent exchange where like Type Moon is giving us like the same quality of stuff as if it were like an independent like new Fate storyline.
I need that because I feel like the Fate Go stuff is so wrapped around itself that someone like me, even knowing what I know, is not going to be able to fully appreciate what the fuck is going on.
And that's the thing, though. It's not animated from the beginning. So there are several, I think there were 7 singularities. So the 6th, the 7th, and then like the finale have been animated. So that means the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, the prologue, there's a prologue singularity, then there's like 1 through 5, and a lot of shit happens in like the 1 through 5. Like when we get like Mosh, like the girl with the shield, by the time we get her in the anime series, like she already knows, like, you know, because she's like a pseudo spirit, like it's like a spirit is possessing her, so she doesn't have the full powers or some shit like that. But in the beginning of the series, because I started to play the gacha game for a little bit, they don't know who her, like, the spirit is, where she gets her powers from. So she doesn't know her noble phantasm. She doesn't know any of that shit. But then when we get these anime movies, she already knows all that stuff. And it's kind of just like, well, I wasn't there for when she got it because I didn't keep playing the game. So but I also think that if they had started animating those first few singularities, it wouldn't be as popular as it is because those were the singularities where people were complaining about it.
Right.
And they were like, this isn't good enough. And then, you know, all the animated shit, that's the shit where people were like, this was absolutely fucking worth it. So, I mean, you can watch it. It's definitely worth it for this just production. I would say I haven't seen the Solomon movie myself, so I really can't comment on like if they bring it back, if they bring all of it together as far as like giving you quick synopsis of what happened in the singularities that weren't animated. But I would recommend finishing Babylon and then watching Camelot and then going into Solomon. And they didn't release them in that order, but that is the order that it was released in the game. So I'm assuming that's the order that they intend for it to be consumed. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let us know. Comment in the video, comment on Twitter, YouTube, etc. Like, let us know. Because, like, I'm into Fate. I watch basically anything they put out. I love Prisma Ilia. That shit got dark as fuck. Like, it got so good. I haven't seen the Prisma Ilia movie. I heard shit goes down.
I've seen clips from there, and I'm always like, wait, is another Fate thing that is different?
Prisma Ilia is actually, like, the first season, I was like, okay, I don't really think this is going to go far, but, like, you know, that was cute. And then near the end of the first season is where, like, shit is like, wait, hold on. Like, these are like fights. Like, these niggas are fighting. Like, the magical girl part is important, but when they have like the cards, they can install the cards and basically like they can take on the powers of that servant. Once the girls start doing that shit, that's when it like it's just like constant like banger, fight. It's so good. And then if you've watched the other parts of the Fate series, then you notice like other characters and you're like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And they really don't bring a lot of the stuff in until the 3rd season. But then once they bring the shit together in the 3rd season, it's just like non-stop insanity. it's a magical girl still, but like they don't do like the transformation scenes like every fucking episode. Like there are episodes where literally they're just like, you're gonna get your ass beat unless you fucking transform right now. So let's go. It's like boom, transformation, fighting. It's so I'm enjoying the shit out of it. It does take a while to get to it where it reaches its stride, and a lot of people will recommend you just read the manga. But like the manga is the reason why it got the fucking anime in the first place, because niggas were like freaking out and how dark it got. So yeah, oh wow, wasn't expecting to do all that Fate talk today.
I mean, Fate is deep. Fate is pretty deep.
So much. I want to play that arcade version, but they're not gonna release that shit here.
No. Good luck.
Yeah, they're not gonna release this shit here. Do you have any recommendations?
Do I have recommendations? I probably should, given all the bullshit that I've been running through this week. I guess I want to shout out Leveling with the Gods, because I think I may like in general it may have come up in some of the other conversations. I just like the art. The thing about webtoons in general is that like, because there's like 7 or 8 studios that make them, it's kind of hard to find the ones that not only have something interesting and well developed happening from like a story perspective, but also have like unique and interesting and just cool looking artwork that kind of stands on its own. You go to a comic shop, you can find all kinds of like Western style comics that look different, and I value that a lot now that I've had to read so many manhwas. In as far as like why would recommend it this week, so I caught up. I think I probably read chapters 1 through 30 middle of last year.
Okay. I was like, over this past weekend? Was it
No. This is a while ago. And I kind of ended at a place where things were wrapping up. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll come back to it in a few months and see what's going on. I did not realize that the story was going to like switch over to like a very Shaolin wuxia, movie style, like cultivation thing for a brief period of time. But it's actually pretty cool. I'm bored often by those stories that I don't care as much for the setting. But like the series does a good job of like mixing different mythologies from different cultures for their little arcs or for the different locations that they're in. And the main character technically is a regressor story, but it's like a fairly satisfying one that is at least decently thought out. So I can probably put my stamp on that.
For my recommendation this week, I want to recommend, I already recommended Ari Ferretta. Oh well, I mean, things are happening there, but we will.
Right, if you want trash, that's where you want to go.
Yeah, if you want trash, that's where you want to go.
It's decent trash. It's decent trash.
I guess. Is it? You know what? Yeah, it is decent trash. Oh, fuck! I forgot the name of it. It's an isekai show. By the blessing of the gods, I believe. By the grace of the gods. So it's an isekai about a guy who reincarnates as like a kid, but he's like stats exist in both worlds, and so when he goes to this world, he chooses to be like a slime tamer or whatever, and like
I heard about this one. Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's actually extremely like. It's not. I wouldn't say chill. It's so realistic.
It's a slice of life, right? It's a slice of
life-ish. Yeah. There's really not any like sakuga or anything going on, but it's so straightforward, and like they have stuff with like being a merchant. He trying to start his own business. How he his slimes, because he's like a slime rancher. And at first I was like, what the fuck, slimes? But then it goes into detail about like how the slimes are evolving based off of his care and like all the things that he can do and the powers that he has based off of basically having a relationship with the 3 gods who run the world. And it's not like I can call on you at any moment. It's more so of a, hey, we're going to check in on you like occasionally, but like this is basically all on you. Like, you live your life how you want to live it, because he literally was, he died in our world because he worked for a black company, like one of the black companies in Japan.
Yeah.
Like just, he worked himself to death, literally. So if you want to watch something that's chill, it does have like a decent progression of events. And I don't know if it's like worthwhile, but I think like it's a really good slice of life. It's not on the same level as like some of the best shit, but if you're looking for like a slice of life and you've ran out of everything else, I recommend this one because I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's when did I want to know which was the either the light novel or the TV adaptation that got the fucking slime isekai format started. Like, I just want to know where it started, because I also wound up reading a manga that turned into a slime isekai, but it felt like it was older. And I just want to know, because, you know, like, everyone gives Mushoku Tensei the credit, even though it's not the first of this genre. It was one of the early ones, light novels that were really big and was very influential on a lot of the ones that came forward after that. I just want to know where the first, like, what was the first big slime isekai? Somebody answer that question for me.
It wasn't reincarnated as a slime.
No. It definitely was not. So something came before. I just like to know what that was. That's all.
Yeah.
Something came before.
All right. Well, that'll be something to look up for next week. But in other news, my ass has gotta go. Oh my god. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us on, well, not subscribe. I mean, yeah, you can subscribe to us on certain places, but soon. But make sure you follow us on social media, Twitter, anime_savants, and then just regular anime savants on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Also, if you follow us on Facebook, the RSS feed is connected there, so you can listen to the podcast straight through Facebook. But also remember to rate us wherever you are watching or listening. That helps a shit ton, an absolute lot.
Yes.
And you can follow me on @KoroShore on like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that. Here, this motherfucker's coming.
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter @Neural Handshake. Anytime, any place, do the thing. Thanks, guys, for listening and watching and subscribing. And with that, peace out.
Bye!